Hi everybody, welcome back to Mindful Moments. Today we're back on the couch and I've got Bhakti here and Bodhi. Bhakti, the word Bhakti really means devotion, love and devotion, which is very appropriate for her. And Bodhi is really short for bodhicitta, which is a word that means open heart or awakened heart, which again is Bodhi all over. We're going to talk about a couple of different things today. We're going to talk about connecting with our dogs mindfully without touching, and we're going to also talk about different types of motivation with our dogs. And we're going to be touching on that quite a bit. But first, let's take a moment to just ground ourselves and be present and connect with the moment, because being mindful with our dogs is about coming into their plane of experience and their level of experience, which is being present right now. So let's take a breath and let it out and feel that breath in our body go out, back in and back out. And just feel how it feels, the sensations of it. And don't worry about if you're sitting in correct postures or you're breathing in the correct ratio of in and out. It really doesn't matter, because mindfulness is not about control at all. It's about connection. And a connection about awareness of what's happening now, the way our dogs perceive and our dogs experience their lives, which is very much present moment focused, where we tend to be more future and past focused. Dogs are much more present moment focused. Which, by the way, is what makes us such great teams, because we complement each other. Our friendship is one of complementary. My skill sets of being able to predict and remember complement their skill sets of being very engaged with what's happening now. So we fit together really well. And a lot of these mindful moments that we've done has been a lot about the touching and maybe the massage and feeling our dogs underneath and just connecting with them on that level. But I work a lot with dogs who have undergone a lot of emotional or even physical trauma in their lives, and quite often touch for them is a bad thing. Touch was always sort of the weapon that was used, especially if they were physically abused. Touch was always a weapon. In fact, when I first met Bodhi, Bodhi really wanted nothing to do with me. The foster people, wonderful people, brought him, and he was straining at the end of the leash, tail tucked, trying to get away from me. He did not like people at all, and he definitely didn't like me. So when I first got him 3 years ago, when we started our mindful moments together, it wasn't about me getting him and having him sit next to me and forcing him to touch, because once we get into force, it doesn't work. We were connected without touch, because it wasn't where he wanted to be. He didn't want to be comfortable. So we started in the room together, and he was at one end of the room and I was at the other end of the room, and he had always the option of leaving. There was never any force involved in this. Nor was there any bribery involved in this either. I wasn't going to reward him for coming near me. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we connected in that way, where I would sort of look at him, maybe not stare directly at him, but kind of gaze in his direction, and maybe breathe with him and just be present with him. The fact that I was being mindful and being present with my own experience and my own body, knowing that that's what he was experiencing, kind of allowed me to come into his world. And he felt safe not having pressure to have to come near me or anything like this. So we connected in a way where we could be together without physical touch or even close proximity at first. And that took a while. That took a long time. One thing we don't want to do, and this is a very important thing, because I see some of these things come up on social media, how rescue dogs require a certain amount of days to decompress and another amount of days to do this. And these timelines, these are artificial timelines. I'm not even sure where they came from, but our dogs are not pre-programmed to have these artificial timelines. And in my opinion, putting these set times, within 3 days you have to be relaxed, or within 3 weeks you have to be connected, That's very dangerous, and that could be damaging to the relationship. I'm not going to give a plant a certain amount of time to grow. As long as I fertilize and do the right things and cultivate the soil and have all the conditions, it's going to grow on its own. When we try to force things, it's like we're trying to pull up on that stem to make that flower grow faster on our timeline. But it's not about us, it's about them. And so when we pull up on that stem, we end up killing the flower. When we force our dogs into these artificial timelines, we could ruin what was almost ripe. So quite often if we're dealing with a dog who may not be comfortable for touch, may not be relaxed enough or secure enough or feel that they're attached enough for you to have the physical contact, it doesn't mean you can't be mindful with them. And some dogs don't really like it that much, or they like it only at certain times. But we can still get into their realm and their presence by being mindful with them. So just sitting with them and being mindful and being aware of the present and how this sounds and how maybe they're breathing and studying without analysis, without saying, oh, they're breathing too fast or too slow or any of these things, just experiencing it, just looking at it from the way a child would look at it. So we all have this in us. We did this when we were children, young children, before we were taught and learned and had all these rules and evaluations thrust upon us. We had this sense of wonder and this sense of amazement. And if we look at our dogs sometimes in that sense of wonder and amazement as if it's the first time we've ever seen them, then we're being mindful and connected with them at that moment. And that allows connection to form, however shape it wants to take. Now with Bodhi, he began to relax more and more, and we were able to touch more and more. And now, of course, as you've seen, he loves it, he thrives on it. But that wasn't the goal. That wasn't my expectation. That wasn't the requirement that he do that. If he never wanted to come near me, we would be just as close friends, we'd love each other just the same, but we would do it with respect for each other's wishes. Because we do so many things unintentionally with our dogs that separate us. So I know I said I was going to speak a little bit about different motivations with our dog. And I'm going to be a little quick here because we're going to do this more. But there's a real sort of trend now to when we first decide to spend life with a dog, to connect with him by controlling them. And because the first thing we dive in is with training, all kinds of training. Now I know I'm hearing everybody right now saying, oh, you have to train your dog, they're going to run amok. First of all, that's an assumption that's really not based on any fact. If you look at other cultures and like the dogs of India or Bali or even some indigenous tribes with their dogs, these animals are not running amok. They are fitting in very well. We just have this idea, unless you control it, it will go crazy. So control, we're sort of obsessed with this control. But control is the opposite of connection. So we don't want to always spend all our focus on controlling our dogs. Whether you're controlling through coercion or punishment, or you're controlling through reward or bribery, both of those things are future focused. If you do this now, you will get this later. Or if you do this now or don't do this now, you will be punished or something later. It takes us in the future. Connection is more present moment experience. So there are really three motivators. One is fear. Fear of, I better stop doing this or else. There's also greed, I want more and more. Or there's love, and that is the connection that we're going for. And love is not necessarily just a feeling. Love, as been said by many different people, love is a verb, not just a noun. So we don't want to produce adrenaline in our dogs, worry that, uh-oh, if I don't stop doing this or barking, I will get punished. Nor do we want to produce too much dopamine in our dogs, saying, if you want to do this, you're going to get this great treat. That also separates us. We want to base it on connection and love. We're going to talk more later. I know I'm running a little late on time here. But we're going to definitely talk more about this. But the real motivation that works the best to give us the best relationship possible moving forward is that based on this friendship, true friendship, and friendship as, again, a verb, not a noun. Friendship is what we do, not just what we feel. And one thing that we can do is be mindful with our dogs and respectful with our dogs. So we'll talk more about the different motivations on other ones. We're going to have a little bit more time. And until then, enjoy the day, connect mindfully with your friends, and just enjoy their company. Thanks.